Hello, everyone, and good morning, good afternoon. My name is Jochen Hager, and I welcome you to our webinar, Post S4HANA Go Live, Data Access Use Cases After Decommissioning. Before I start, a few administrative items. All participants are on mute during the full duration of the webinar. If there are sound issues or you cannot view the slides or the presenters, please alert us through the questions panel. Please also post any questions on the topics through the same questions function in your administration panel on the right side of the screen. Our presentation today will take about 25 to 30 minutes with 10 minutes reserved for Q&A at the end. Now with this, in today's executive session, we explore different use cases around decommissioning legacy SAP systems and how TJC ELSA as a platform can be used for various data access methods to data and attachment. Data access generates value for your organization, and you should not lose out on all the opportunities to still use data, even if it's from your legacy system. My name is Jochen Hager. I'm a principal with TJC Americas, and I focus on customer service and business development. I will be your host throughout the session, and I will present a quick overview on our legacy data solution, TJC ELSA, after I introduce everyone. With us today, we have Kristen Gerling. Kristen is also a principal at TJC and focuses on sales. She talks to our customers and partners every day and explores data access use cases for decommissioning systems, as well as additional data access requirements for our TJC ELSA platform. The insight derived from working with corporate America and Europe regarding their SAP landscapes for data archiving and document management over the past 28 years allow Kristen to share with you strategic wins you can achieve with TJC ELSA during and or after your S4 transformation. Kristen, we are glad to have you with us today. Welcome.
Thank you, Jochen. I'm glad to be here.
I will set the stage now and present some background information on ELSA, just a few minutes, and then hand the discussion over to Kristen for our use cases. We'll talk a little bit about the integration with SAP and why this becomes important in your journey to S4HANA.
I say a few. Share your slides.
I need to share my slides, thank you. The sharing went away with starting the broadcast. And we're sharing the slides. So I will start with giving, with introducing or providing some context about the current RISE with SAP scenarios, talk a little bit about ELSA. Kristen will present the use cases, and we'll get to some questions at the end. In the SAP environment, companies set out in their S4HANA transformation to apply best practices using a proven methodology. It's a strategic move into the cloud as an operational model, which will improve innovation and focus on strategic initiatives. And S4HANA and the journey is all about investment protection. It's about protecting your existing SAP investment, offset some transformation costs, and realize faster return on investment, which will lead to a total reduced cost of ownership, accelerated return, and predictable, transparent cost models. We support these key initiatives in your S4HANA transformation by providing a structured legacy decommissioning platform that is based on SAP's BTP cloud platform, allows easy user access through an API, and has its foundation in hyperscaler data platforms that's made available to you through your company tenant, be that on an AWS environment, an Azure environment, or even VM hosted in your own data centers if you prefer that to be the case. The application itself is organized into business areas. We have transactions for financial accounting documents, for vendor master data, for customer master data, sales document, billing documents, all the major applications you have in your SAP environment will be in a lookalike form available in your ELSA decommissioning platform. Here's a quick view on a classic setup that you have with accounting header information and then the actual individual line items. Slightly different than what you see in a classical SAP GUI environment, but identical information with help as from information available with the complete short text and long text field names. Also available is retrieving any attachments to your SAP objects, just as you can do in SAP. We have the capability through the attachment function to get back to your archived documents, be that PDF documents or any other type of documents. We can also handle the integration of standard archive link or CMIS integrated content repositories, and we in the process also deal with any documents that are stored in the SAP database, extract those and make them available as attachments later on in your retrieval processes. There is also the capability through integrated functions to see non-SAP data, which we can talk about in individual conversations. Looking at the overall architecture, the ECC system exports the data through custom transactions, custom function modules that we run through transports into your system, into local file system storage. These data sets that arrive in the local file system can then be stored in blob storage and then are partially loaded into a database. We have an example here of a MySQL database in Azure, but it could be any type of hyperscaler that can host the database or can host blob storage or a similar concept in your hyperscaler environment. Also integrated can be the documents that reside on an archive link type content server, or in the future also on a CMS type content server. And the ELSA platform runs as a service on BTP, maintenance free, and hooks through secured communication into your cloud database in your customer tenant, and to your content server also in your customer tenant or on-premise. The end users have different ways to access the data. They can access the raw data through SQL statements. They can access the data through custom queries, which we call dynamic queries, that can be created in the project environment, or through predefined transactions that we deliver with the platform. We encourage customers to also create static reports that can be pulled up and reflect original SAP formatting. You have to create these reports while the system is still available to you, and they will be frozen in time. As this is a read-only system decommissioning approach, they will be frozen in time and will be available for the future. And just summarizing, so ELSA, an SAP native application, certified, fully certified on SAP BTP. We just got a recertification done a few days ago. It can access legacy data, online and archive data. So not only online data extracted from your ECC system, but also archive data out of ADK files can be stored and made accessible through ELSA. The jump-in points can be through custom Fiori applications. We have an embedded audit trail as proof of compliance. We have easy deletion for data privacy requirements, servicing several laws that are available. We have a complete access and authority concept, which is derived from existing SAP authorities, and also data masking features that allow us to hide data fields that should be kept private, like social security numbers and or credit card numbers and the like. So with that, I hand it over to Kristen for the presentation of the use cases. Kristen, please take over the screen sharing.
Thank you, Jochen. Hang on. Screen, let me share quickly, and we'll start from this slide. Yeah, so now we'll dive into different types of use cases that the ELSA legacy system application can be used for. We have cases that are really targeted to customers that have specific problems regarding data access during their S4 transformation journey, and other cases that are more of a general nature, and we'll go through them one at a time. I will start with talking about the typical and very classic use case of our customers embarking the journey to S4HANA. Either they embark or they are early adopters to S4HANA and are now left with legacy systems that they have put on a virtual machine and have sitting in their data center and have to fire up for users accessing the data on a relatively frequent basis. I'll start with these early adopters, and then we'll talk about what it actually means to start a transformation project and look at the decommissioning of the data right from the start. So for our early adopters, we understand that they have problems now maintaining their existing virtual machines. SAP has discontinued the ECC maintenance as of 2027. So there is a big push on getting these systems now so that not extended maintenance is needed, which is a time and material cost, getting them out. There's also reasons for data security breaches with these systems. You can't really update the OS elegantly or easily anymore. Your database might not be able to be upgraded. So there's a big drive for these customers to look at decommissioning those systems now and have them on a modern platform that their users can access the data with for years to come. If a customer is thinking about going for S4 or has just started the S4 transformation process, it is very good to actually look at what the decommissioning strategy and have that defined at a relatively early point of starting that transformation. The reason is that in a lot of cases with the sizing studies from SAP, you're encouraged to do significant data archiving, which is can be a big effort. And maybe it is smarter to just make this part of your decommissioning strategy and have this data accessible from your decommissioned platform. And therefore, it is good to start early, in exploring what the ELSA application can do for you, and then making decisions as far as this type of data goes into my data archiving bucket, this type of data will be handled through my decommissioning solution, and this type of data is what I'm taking across into my new S/4HANA landscape. So we fit from a project methodology right into the SAP transformation methodology, and would love to help when customers are struggling with making a good decision, making an easy decision for them as far as what needs to be on their S4 platform. The next 3 use cases that I'll talk about all tie into these considerations a little bit. The first one is, how do I access my archive data from the ECC system once I am on the S4 side? While that can be made possible, and it depends on which viewing tools you use, but it also depends on all the things that have changed. Your data model has changed during the transformation. You might have changed, and because of data cleanup tasks, you might have changed. In this case, with the screenshots, you see the chart of accounts. So you eliminated an account that used to be there, and your data archiving data references this account, and it is no longer in your new S4 chart of accounts. That results then in error pop-up messages about the account not being there, not existing. If you're a Fiori adopter, you can run into issues that Fiori transactions no longer allow the display from archive. Fiori transactions need to be developed using the, or are now being, the old ones that were used based on the ABAP transactions from the GUI that were built in ABAP, they had that feature, but now the new ones that are being built on HANA Live CDS View, or the OData protocol, or the INA protocol, they no longer have this capability that you can say from a Fiori transaction that you want to display data from the archive. So that is a limitation that your business users might run into when they're doing testing in their S4 environment. And it is good to know this early, and it is good to know what the workaround and how the solution can be, this solution ELSA can be used in order to mitigate these error messages and get out and look at this kind of data from the ELSA application. Remember, Jochen pointed out that in our decommissioning application, we have the online data from the decommissioned system, the archive data, and then any types of attachments, no matter if they reside on an archive link content server or on an SAP Office, in the SAP Office tables, and static reports. So this is the use case about displaying archive data once on S4. ELSA can manage that and help customers with it. The other, the next one is, and this really affects very much our RISE customers that are transitioning to RISE, is the new data model comes with changes in certain tables that then result in exponential table growth and performance impacts. The AC DACA table is one example, and you might be forced into doing accelerated data archiving. Again, the reasons I mentioned for the last use case apply here as well. Not all your archive data is necessarily easily accessible from your S4 system. And again, depending if you are a heavy Fiori adopter, then that might not be there. Apart from the performance, obviously, RISE customers have a big incentive to remain with their originally signed up for t-shirt size. They do not want to grow. And that is one reason why you might want to look at using the ELSA application also as a viewing tool for your data that you archived in S4 when post go live on S4. The next use case is talking about AI integration and being ready for the future. When we're meeting with other SAP partners who specialize in building AI use cases and AI applications, we're constantly told that they are running and struggling with their S4 customers because as part of the transition, maybe only the open items made it across. And that's the only historic data that is available. Or it's just the past 2 fiscal years. And they struggle building their algorithms and models because they don't have enough data points really to build solid predictions on how this is supposed to be working. So they like to actually have access to historic data that goes beyond the 2 years. And again, you want to know that your data that you have that is not just sitting on a dormant, frozen VMware ECC system, but that it is accessible and can be used for building these algorithms. So in these cases, we also help with making that data accessible through ELSA. You can do Parquet downloads, and ELSA itself has adopted AI with a natural language conversion for its SQL searches. So just like SAP, we are AI ready and want to make sure that the data is available. May it come from an old ADK file or from the ECC online data through our ELSA application. And now we'll go into some more generic use cases: mergers, acquisitions, divestitures. They have been use cases that have been around for a long time for our SAP customers. Imagine you are company A and you're acquiring company B. Both of you have their own SAP landscapes. A decision is made that these systems need to be consolidated into one, and what happens to the one that is left over. Good housekeeping means decommissioning that system so that you are protected against data breach, but you have accessibility of this data, the historic data as well. And therefore, we would recommend in these cases to also decommission. A little bit of a different nature can be the divestitures. We do have customers that on a frequent basis divest small parts of their business to others, to a buyer, and that buyer does not necessarily has to be a buyer that runs SAP and you can do a system copy, the typical transformation process system copy, and then clean up what you don't need, delete that, and give them a cleaned up system. In these cases, we can leverage our TJC ELSA extract to actually extract data that is relevant to the new organization, and it can be presented in just the extracted data if they want to upload it into something else, or if they want to use TJC ELSA access for actually using and accessing the data, that can be done as well. So another case showing how versatile our solution is. We also have customers that have been on HCM, have had HR systems on ECC or HCM systems, and they're moving them to the cloud, either with SAP SuccessFactors or Workday, and these customers are also looking for secure and compliant access to their historical data. In that case, with HR data, it is even more important to know that your data is somewhere secure and protected and stored in a modern way so that you have access for it for a long time. Some of our customers had individual pension plans, and they need to be able to bring up retiree information for payroll, for benefits, and so on. So the access of the data left behind that has not made it across into these cloud applications is very critical and needs to be protected and preserved and made available for the HR department for long-time access. And ELSA can just do that. Jochen, I think, mentioned it earlier already. We do not just handle ECC environments. We can do any type of ECC system and decommission it, or a ECC adjacent system like CRM, SRM, or the industry solutions systems. We can also go into and look at even older systems if you have them around still and need to decommission those. And then there's the cloud applications. Like I mentioned, SuccessFactors, but there's Concur, there's Ariba, there's other SAP cloud applications. And we are talking to SAP currently about finding a solution on how we can help them with the data growth in these applications so that they can offload some of the data and still have it available for their customers. And then there is the non-SAP part where the system has nothing to do with SAP, and that can be decommissioned using TGC ELSA as well. Now, an outlier is ELSA Docs, which is an application that just focuses on unstructured data, so attachments. We have built this application so that it allows searches and display functionality and further processing functionality on a mass basis, like mass downloading attachments to provide to an auditor, or mass emailing these attachments so that an auditor can look at the original that is behind specific transactions where they have concerns and are requesting additional backup information. So this rounds up all the different use cases we've encountered so far. There are probably many more that we'll encounter in the future. And if you have anything that you want to run by us, please feel free to contact us, and we would love to talk to you and brainstorm how we can help you on this. Why are we talking so much about decommissioning? It is because there is a significant cost and risk of keeping legacy systems around. From a cost perspective, IDC has done a study, and basically the result is that 30% of your IT budget is put into development and innovation or managing your live ERP systems. Only 30%. The rest of it, the 70%, that is really there for maintaining legacy systems and providing security mechanisms so that you are protected and that you're not a victim of cyber attacks. That is a lot of budget spent on keeping the lights on, but not really innovating and making and adding to your bottom line. So decommissioning is one way to actually reduce the 70% and cut down on budget that you're spending on keeping the lights on, but using it for new and more modern approaches to your IT landscape. Just to highlight why 70%, because that seems to some like a very high number, but if you're looking at your IT landscape, you have 7 dimensions on and what makes up an application. It's not just the application itself, it's the servers, it's the storage, it's the network, it's the data, and so on. And then you have different tasks around these, and then you have a number of applications that this is being applied to, and it easily adds up and therefore becomes a high impact, cost impact for IT organizations, and it is wise to cut that down. So key points about ELSA again, it is a SAP certified solution built on the SAP Business Technology Platform to decommission SAP and non-SAP systems. It is AI ready, like I pointed out in one of the use cases, and it has a Fiori-like data access for users from either the browser, or they can have a custom S4 Fiori tile that allows them to jump off into ELSA. And it is your backbone data hub application for anything historic, may it be data out of your ECC system or your current S4 archive data, or any type of unstructured attachments that you have in an archive link repository or had in the SAP Office tables. A few points about TJC. We have been in the SAP ecospace for the past 25 years, active with data volume management, and for about 10 years, we actually branched out a little bit into more tax and audit related topics. We focus on data volume management, so data archiving, ILM, GDPR, and the retirement of legacy systems, and have more than 500 clients worldwide, and are an SAP partner, and our software is certified. Most of our software components are certified by SAP. Here you see the software components. We talked today in this presentation a lot about the one in purple at the top, ELSA, but for data volume management, we also have an archive session cockpit, which automates archiving jobs and running them in a more managed and automated approach. Same goes for DART. We have a DART automation cockpit, a report automation cockpit that is for generating large numbers of automatically of static reports or print lists, similar to print lists. And we have the audit extraction cockpit, which is a vital building block also for our ELSA extract, which allows us to easily extract data, make it available either for auditors or for internal business user requirements. And then we have specific country solutions for creating audit data. Those are called SAFT. You have different ones for different European countries, Portugal, Norway, Spain, etc. And then there is one called FEC that is for France, a specific audit extraction tool that is conformed to the requirements that the French government has. Just to highlight, like I said, over 500 customers worldwide, a couple household names here. And with that, I think we are at the end of the presentation, and I can turn it over to questions.
Kristen, thank you very much. Great insight into all the different use cases. We have a number of questions. One of the questions is, how can an archiving or decommissioning strategy help with cost savings during a transformation?
Yeah, so if you do that in an early phase, like I pointed out when we were talking about the use case, you have the opportunity to actually save on some data archiving efforts, but you can also build new features on the S4 side and change the data. I mean, change and clean up data that if you don't rely on seeing it in S4, you can preserve as an as is in your from your ECC environment and have it accessible. And it's just makes it much more, you gain a lot more flexibility in your data approaches on how where that data resides on an ongoing basis. We have customers that have their data on relatively expensive databases for their ECC environment. Some of them are Oracle, some of them are HANA. There is obviously an impact when you're running these systems, even as a virtual machine later, for just lookup access, keeping those databases maintained. If you can shut them down and move them to a more cost-efficient database, you can generate cost savings there.
And thank you. Great. Next question we have is more on a technical side, so I will take that. The question was that our transformation consulting company has advised us, and therefore we decided to freeze our legacy systems on VMs. Why do you consider ELSA to be a better approach? So the risk with putting everything on VMs is that these VMs cannot really be updated. You cannot upgrade the operating system. You run risk that the database, the OS that runs your database, cannot be upgraded. The database you are running right now might not be supported in the long run, or might not be supported on the newest operating system environments. You cannot guard yourself against hacks and viruses in a way that it is according to today's standard. The risk of being breached or somebody breaching these old systems is tremendous. Plus, in many of these VM environments, it's forgotten that you don't have an administrator anymore. You don't understand 5 years, 10 years down the road what happened, why did it break, how can I fix it? It becomes an unstable system. And furthermore, many customers we have talked to that chose this approach told us that just a few weeks after they started to freeze the system, they were asked to actually retrieve data on almost a daily basis. So the assumption that you only access these systems with 1 or 2 transactions a month quickly became wrong, and these systems actually became critical systems being accessed too much and not being able to be maintained the way you should maintain such a system. So in general, the future safe approach is, especially if you need the data for more than 3 to 5 years, to do a full decommissioning. That is our recommendation. And maybe here the next question for you, Kristen, is ELSA a certified solution, certified by SAP solution?
Yes, Jochen. Yes, as it is certified by the as a BTP application by SAP.
And maybe the last question we have here, what are the short-term and long-term benefits of decommissioning with ELSA?
Yeah, so short-term is that you can shut down your old system landscape and have your data in a secure environment that you can have it for many years and you can access it for many years. Long term is that you can build on this and you can put you can add more systems, you can grow this application and make it your data hub for any type of historic data that you don't want to build or keep around, and you don't want to have the infrastructure for that around and the infrastructure cost, and then leverage that data with SAP's business data platform for AI modeling and algorithm work, so that you can build functionality around leveraging this historical data on an ongoing basis, apart from the compliance aspect for users to have access to historical data because of audit requests or anything else.
I don't think we have any other questions. I think this brings us to the end of our webinar. Kristen, I thank you very much for that very insightful presentation. And to the audience, thank you very much for participating, and goodbye until next time.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.